Welcome, everybody. What a privilege it is to be here for the Global Book Launch live stream with author Jeff Meyer and his new book, The Dream Primer. So excited to be with you here today, Jeff. And I'd also like to introduce Carrie Oberbrunner, the CEO of Igniting Souls Publishing Agency. Carrie wants to say a few words to get us kicked off today. So, Carrie, go ahead.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff's book is absolutely fantastic. I'll tell you why. I think dreams are what set us apart from every other creature. You don't see squirrels out in the backyard dreaming about one day making it to Mars or whatever. So it's a human thing. And Jeff, I'm just so excited about this book, and I'm going to listen as well. Jimmy Z is our fantastic interview. I'm going to start blowing up my social media, get people over here. But I just want to say a big congratulations to you. We are so proud of you at Igniting Souls Publishing Agency, and I'm going to listen in and learn a ton. So I'll let Jimmy Z and you take it, Jeff. Okay.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much for the privilege to be here today and for doing this for authors. You guys, it's just incredible what you do for authors. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, like I said, I'm going to hop on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, blow it all up. But Jimmy Z, I'll let you roll, my friend.
Very good, Carrie. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So, Jeff, here we are. It's time to kick off your book. And I love the title because the title has an intrigue, but your subtitle also grabs us. And I'm just going to read it. The Dream Primer. Turn your low-def ideas into a stunning high-res future you must pursue. Wonderful description, because quite frankly, in this world, we fight the battle of dreams. So give us an idea of what in your heart caused you or drove you to write this particular book at this time.
Yeah, so the first book I published is Fear Not, Dream Big, and Execute. And I introduced the concept of the dream circle in that. And then since I launched that book in 2018, I started a business called the Dream Accelerator, trying to actually help people enact what I talk about in the book. So this particular book that launches today is some of the stuff that we use in the Dream Accelerator. So it's learnings from the last 3 years of working with actual people who are trying to clarify their dream, build a plan, overcome fear to achieve it. So it just felt to me like it was something that I needed to share more broadly than just with my clients. So that's why I wrote it.
Very good. I just want to make a quick note here. For those of you who are joining us live today, Jeff has agreed to give away a signed copy of his new book, The Dream Primer, to the most engaged person on social media. So chime in, invite people to come on over, make comments, follow along, and get engaged in this wonderful topic as we talk about dreams, even in a time in our society where sometimes dreams get held back or we're not sure what to do. Some people would call this great resignation the idea of pushing away the familiar, but what does that call me to? What am I driven to? And inviting people to dream again, I think, is a great opportunity and platform. I just want to make a quick comment about your bio. As an author, coach, consultant, and pastor, you help individuals awaken their unique contribution and live out their calling with confidence and courage in this ever-changing world. I would like to ask you, as you think about the process, dreams are important. And in what ways do you share in this book the invitation, if you will, for people to reignite their dreams?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about how it's in our DNA. We're designed, and Carrie talked about that at the very beginning of this live stream, how that sets us apart from all other creatures, is that we're not just grinding. We're not just designed to make it through the day or to survive. And so many people settle for that kind of life. And what I want to do is invite people to understand that they are co-creators with the Creator. And that fingerprint of God's creative nature is in every single human being. And what happens over time is if we don't enact that, it gets covered up by doubt, gets covered up by just getting through the day, and then we can actually lose that dream. But I also talk about in the book that dreams are relentless. They continue to poke their head into our story throughout our life, and sometimes a dream from childhood gets emerged later in life because someone gives themselves the permission to pursue it.
Very good. You talk in your book about the structure of a dream circle. Some people think about it as a progression of climbing a mountain or walking down tracks. But in your case, give us an idea of what you mean by the dream circle and the continuous nature of how dreams come up in our lives.
Yeah, it actually visualized in the book. I have a logo that I've designed. It's a circle, and there's 3 components to the circle. So it's not linear. It's happening all the time as we're pursuing the dream. There are 3 habits. The first habit is listening to inspiration. In the book, I talk about, in order to listen to inspiration, we first have to listen for it. And a lot of times we're so busy, people are running so fast from one thing to the next, trying to make a living, that they miss the inspiration that is all around them. So the first thing is listen to and for inspiration. And inspiration comes from all kinds of sources, right? Reading a book, watching a movie, listening to a song, taking a walk, getting out in nature, learning something new, journaling. My wife would be ecstatic that I mentioned her book on journaling in here, because journaling helps us bring out the subconscious and helps us be aware of what's always latently been there in our spirits. That's dream habit number 1, is listen to and for inspiration. The second habit is trust that the dream is yours. Trust it's yours. And trust, and the opposite of trust is fear. And so I deal a lot in that second habit with, what do we do with fear? And a lot of times fear keeps us from actually pursuing the dream, and it kills the dream before we ever start. And so we talk about how to turn fear into fuel. It's one of the few human renewable resources we have at our disposal to keep us moving forward.
Right.
So we talk about flipping the script on fear. And then the third habit is, as we're listening for inspiration, you can see how this is not linear. It's happening all the time. Listening for inspiration, and then trusting that it's yours, flipping the script on fear. The third habit is envision the future. And this is probably the one I'm most excited about, is because we actually help people in the book write their high-def portrait, a 5-year out vision. We have a template that helps them actually write out or record or make a presentation. Some of my clients have done 5 years in the future using present day language, with the most vivid language we can come up with, to describe our dream becoming a reality. Because until you can envision it like that, your dream will not survive the difficulty that is about to happen as you pursue it. It has to be so clear in our minds that we can taste it, right? Otherwise, we're not going to have the persistence to overcome the challenges that inevitably we face.
Right. You addressed a number of great things, and identifying them, first of all, as habits, which is good, because it's not just a jump in and touch on it or flip the switch. It's a process. Yeah. And a habit is building each habit is a process. But I like the idea of thinking about what happens if you look at the world today. I mean, your subtitle, low res and high res. We think about resolution, and we almost get dulled to our dreams. I think about it as a child. You talk about a young child. What do you want to be when you grow up? And life over time has laid layer upon layer upon layer of life on us, and we bury those dreams and they get lost. And to uncover them, I think it's a great challenge in today's world, when it's more instantaneous than ever, right? We know what's going on the other side of the world, more so than we ever have before. Yet to think about not this moment, but the 5 years from now, what a great challenge. And I think that process, and you mentioned journaling, I think it's important for people to kind of get into that process. So talk about the importance of writing down your thoughts and your ideas and your dreams to help prime the pump to get you back to that dream that
you used the title there. I saw what you did there, prime and pump. That's good.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, the idea of priming the pump by journaling and how that helps ignite that dream or rekindle that dream.
Part of what we have to do to get clear and to make it believable, even though sometimes the 5-year description seems unbelievable, but we want to make it believable. In order to do that, you got to get out of your subconscious. You have to capture the thoughts that come and go, because they come and go unless we capture them. So one of the ways you do that is you write it down. Another way, probably in my next book, we're going to talk about, is you need to share the dream. You need to come out and make it public at some point. Now you got to be careful with that too, because there are dream crushers that if you tell them too soon, they will speak against it because they're afraid to dream. But if you've got some place to be able to share it, now you're accountable to actually do something with the dream. So there's something about publishing it, something about writing it that helps us actually believe it and then be willing to do the hard work of pursuing it.
Right. And the importance of talking about doing it intentionally. When I write it down, the accountability starts with myself.
Yep.
Articulating it and then being accountable to myself. But sharing that the dream, you use a term in the layout of your promotion, either on the back of your book and also on Amazon. It says to crystallize your dream. Mm-hmm. And I don't think most people really understand what that means in terms of crystallizing your dream, overcoming obstacles. We live in a world of distraction, and the distraction is one element. But to help crystallize a dream, how does the fear aspect hold people back?
Yeah, mostly because we're afraid of the unknown. We're not sure how it's going to turn out. So the more we can paint a picture of how it's going to turn out, that actually helps us battle against the fear. It gives us a picture, a portrait of what is going to be, that we have to incentivize then and actually be intentional and pursue it. Fear works because it just stays unanswered in our heads and in our hearts. It just ruminates up in there without any challenge. And in order to challenge it, we've got to talk about it. We've got to speak it out loud. And so we talk about things like naming the limiting belief that is holding you back. And what is the primary limiting belief? And then let's do a positive rephrase, so reframing it in a positive. And that's the key to flipping the script on fear.
Very important. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I also agree that writing it out helps challenge us to expose the excuses we come up with. We're pretty quick internally to churn an excuse. I'll get to that later, or whether I put it off or I don't stop and pause and dig in. But when I'm writing, I'm being challenged by the journaling process to really put my words and thoughts and dreams on paper. Because once that's done, then casting that 5-year vision slowly becomes more real, more attainable, more doable. Mm-hmm. Even though I can't control what happens between here and there. God doesn't teach us not to dream. We learn so much about that in the process. You talked about community, the importance of that. What I loved about the book of Proverbs is it talks about the fact that the fool is his own counselor, but a wise man listens to advice. That it's not God's plan that we go it alone. Yet many in today's world step out of this great resignation. I'm going to go do something different. I'm going to do my own thing, whatever that might be. Yet they strive to do everything independently. Mm-hmm. And that's really not the plan. So I love the idea of taking a dream, yes, being cautious about who you share it with, but having some people that you can go to.
Yeah, and that's
give you that opportunity.
That's true. It's exactly why I started the Dream Accelerator, because Carrie's going to kill me for this, but books don't make a dream happen. Activating the insights that come from a book That's what makes a dream happen. You've got to actually activate and put into action what you're learning and discovering. And that is almost impossible to do alone. You have to have community in order to pursue a dream. And that's why I started the Dream Accelerator. So we're a community of dreamers. I would call them successful dreamers. And there's so much encouragement that happens with others who are on that same pursuit.
And I'm so glad you shared that, because quite frankly, you mentioned earlier that when I share my dream, I may have naysayers, may have people who want to push back or challenge me. It's the old crab pot mentality, right? What are you doing trying to climb out or rise above us? But the reality of it is, when you have encouragement that comes alongside of you, things change. Your dream slowly has validity, maybe that you've put aside or suppressed for many years. Yet there's a plan for you that comes with unleashing that dream. So excited about that. I did read the intro to your book, and I'm not going to give it away because it's a wonderful story, but there's a question right toward the end that almost leapt off the page to me. And it said this: as you go through all these challenges and the things you desire, and you recognize beyond a desire that there's a need, you said this: what if you are the one you've been waiting for? And I thought, wow, yeah, everybody's kind of, well, you do it, and waiting for somebody else to take the lead. Yet when it comes to my dreams, it's up to me to take action. So I just want to thank you. That's such a great call to action and encouragement. What if it's me that I've been waiting for? Yeah.
There's two levels of that too, Jimmy. There's the level of going first and taking ownership of the thing you say you want to do and not waiting for someone else to do it. There's also another level to that, and that is that you're being most honest with yourself, and your true self emerges when you give yourself permission to be the co-creator God's designed you to be. And so many people lose themselves in life. They settle for living someone else's dream instead of really trying to understand why they're here. What's their purpose? What contribution can they make? What gap is there in the world that lines up with their gifts and their experiences that they can offer a solution for? I talk about that at the very end of the book too. One of the people that was part of the Dream Accelerators started when he realized his 5-year vivid description, he actually started crying, and he said, "Jeff, this is the most I've felt like me in years." Wow. And that's how I closed the book, because this is more than just going out and making money or being independent or having a dream home or vacations, which is a lot of the language you hear in entrepreneurial circles. I mean, those are some side benefits, perhaps, but the greatest benefit is you discover who you are in the process.
Excellent. Very good. And that discovery is important because we talked about, a series of questions, and one of them, which I think is important for people to hear your thoughts on, is why do so many people settle for working for someone else's dream?
I think it sounds oversimplistic, but it all boils down to fear. They doubt that they can actually do what that dream keeps telling them to do, or they're afraid that they're not going to make enough money doing it, right? That they can make a living doing it, so they stay in that job because it's safe, it's secure, right? It's something they know. Then there's the fear of the unknown. I mean, they've been in a job for years. They don't know what pursuing the dream is going to look like. And they forgot that they didn't know what that job was going to look like when they started either. They've just become almost numb to it. There's a numbness that happens to us when we don't activate the call in our lives that God has placed there. And over time, we just kind of lose ourselves in the process.
That's really an important reminder, the numbness that almost is undiscernible to my daily life because I've just become so numb to not just one or two things, but quite frankly, so many things. And as I navigate through my daily life, I lose sight of the fact that there's a bigger world, a bigger picture. I love a quote by C.S. Lewis. It says, "You're never too old to dream a new dream." And the idea behind that process is wherever you are right now in the process, whether you're stepping out on faith or you're taking from Carrie's book, Day Job to Dream Job, you're making that big leap. And he talks about the challenges, but the reality of it is, if I'm stuck in my thinking, the beauty of this is right now where you sit today, you can begin to dream again. And that's what I love about the idea of a dream primer, because, oh yeah, that I used to think I can never do that now. And there are other people, even people in Igniting Souls, who've written a book in their 80s and are out promoting it and encouraging people, and an inspiration that while we're still here and we still have breath, that there's a dream inside. And I am really excited about what you've structured here to give people an opportunity to start peeling away the layers of doubt and excuses and all those things that stop me to discover what that dream is again.
I'll tell you a story about that. This last summer, I bought a new trumpet. I'm a trumpet player, and bought a new trumpet. On the way down to Chicago to pick it up with my wife, Amy, I said, maybe I'm too old to pick this up again and to really play it. And we walk into the guy who was going to give me the trumpet was going to give me a lesson too. That was part of the purchase agreement. We walk in and he's finishing up a lesson with a 94-year-old man who flew up, and he flies up on a regular basis to Chicago. He lives in Florida, and he was having a lesson. And I got into the room, and the gentleman who gave me the lesson said, "When do you think he started playing?" And I go, "I don't know, maybe when he was, in his teens or something." He goes, "No, he started when he was 88. So he's only learned the trumpet for the last 6 years, and he's 94. So
That's
maybe
fantastic.
I'm not too old to pick this up."
That's a great reminder. And, have you ever done that before? No. And in that process, I think it's fun to even go back and rekindle things that you enjoyed. I'm a guitar player, so having the time to do that. And there's a time when I was busy raising kids and working and doing a lot of things and coaching and my kids' sports games. But now there's a time where you can't see it, but I have my computer, my whiteboard for thinking, and my therapy board, which is basically 6 guitars in my office. That's where I go to get my, my downtime, my peace, and to dream, because it's a creative process.
That's right.
I think it's important to find that creative process for people. So if you were to encourage someone to think about it, you talked about journaling, but what are some of the other ways that people can start to think about priming the pump, think about dreaming again, where they have been putting things aside for so long?
Yeah, I have a little section on a bucket list, making a bucket list of items that you've always wanted to do, but haven't. You just keep pushing it off till later.
Sure.
We think about, we have an exercise to have them go back in time and think about in their childhood what they long to do or what they dream to do that they haven't done in a while. For instance, a couple of years ago, I went and out bought some model airplanes and put together model airplanes again because I did that as a kid. So tap into some of that stuff from your childhood, perhaps. We have an exercise in there asking people to ask themselves the question, why not? Why not do that? And actually answer it, like actually journal about it and discover how lame our excuses are sometimes.
Right. And that's some of that self-discovery is realizing this excuse is no excuse. Right. And you have to be real with yourself. I mean, honesty starts at home. And that kind of thing. Now we're coming down to the home. We got about 5 minutes to go. And I do want to give you a chance before we determine who's the most active person and we get confirmation of who's going to get your book. You mentioned to me earlier that you've started the Dream Accelerator business, but you also have a podcast. Tell us just a brief snippet about your new podcast.
Yeah. So beginning of last year, I launched a podcast called Move Forward Anyway podcast. It's available anywhere you can get podcasts. I just got a notification a couple of weeks ago. They have 1,000 downloads on that. It has been so awesome to simply talk to people that are chasing a dream. Either they've realized it or they're in the middle of it, which can be a grind and be really hard, or they're just starting. Doesn't matter. I interview them. We talk about fear. We talk about how they get in their own way in pursuing it. And it's been very rewarding to just talk with entrepreneurs all over the world and discover their secrets, discover what their story is.
I think it's important. You said early on in our time together today that one of the ways we learn from others is to listen, read books, but also listen to the stories of others, because those things, when you hear someone else accomplishing something or re-engaging their dream, it can inspire us to say, I need to do the same thing. I need to stop making excuses. I need to get out. And of course, as the snow melts, for those of us who live in the northern half of the United States, we want to get outside anyway, right? We want to get out and dream. But I think the idea of getting out of our comfort zone and dream is a great calling and a great opportunity for people to move forward. As we wrap up, we're going to get in just a moment the name of the person who's been most engaged. But if you could identify in just a simple thought, the biggest thing you wanted people to take away from your book, what would it be?
You have a dream. It might be, my mother-in-law is in the book. I talk about this. She debated with me back and forth about, well, I don't have a dream. I don't have a dream. And so we talked about the vernacular, the words we use. And I said, well, do you have any ideas? And that kind of sparked her. Oh, so she goes, I have all kinds of ideas. Well, that's great. Pursue it. Lean into it. Activate it. Obey that idea. Go for it. Sometimes people excuse themselves and say, well, I don't have a big dream. The size of the dream doesn't matter. Sometimes the pursuit of an idea opens up a whole new world that becomes a big dream, right?
Correct.
Give yourself permission to pursue it. And it doesn't mean you have to go start a business. You could go start a business, but it could mean that you take a Saturday morning and do something you've always longed to do that you haven't done before. You want to learn a new skill. Go do it. And see what happens, and take away the pressure to see results with it. Just take the next step.
Very good. Very good. Well, if you could please, somebody on the team, give me an idea who is the most engaged person so we can get that assignment and get that information to Jeff and send off a book to you. I also just want to thank you for inspiring in all of us the fact that dreams are important. And dreams can start with a spark, or as you say, as an idea. And that's the beginning. I think that all goes all the way back to talking about the importance of writing it down. Because if I think about it and I don't write it down, I may forget it later. But if it's an idea that can be birthed into something, that's just amazing. And so excited about that.
Yeah, the crystallizing is so important, right? It has to become so crystal clear that the pain or fear of not pursuing it is bigger than the pain or fear in pursuing it. Otherwise, we won't pursue it.
Right. It looks like Anise Stone is our winner. So we'll get contact information for you to get that sent off, a signed copy to her. Jeff, it's been a real privilege to get a chance to get to know you, to learn about the importance of dreaming from an author who takes it seriously, who's living it out. And we want to congratulate you on the launch of your new book today. Go to Amazon, go to your favorite place to buy books. Make sure to not only purchase that book, but get a proper review posted in the system. And we just want to congratulate you as we kick off a new, your second book in the series of dreaming. So thank you very much, Jeff Meyer. All the best to you, my friend, and have an awesome year and keep dreaming.
Thank you, Jimmy. I really appreciate the time. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, team.
All right. See you later, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.